Welcome back to CS Mob. I am so excited to have Shanika Sheppard here from Marlow's Cheesesteaks. Please introduce yourself and give us the background on Marlow's.
Hi everyone, it's your girl Shanika with Marlow's Cheesesteaks. So Marlow's is owned and operated by myself and my husband Jamar Sheppard, aka Marlow. That's his nickname. So we started a 7x14 food trailer in the summer of 2021. We went to festivals, did some private events, got really good reception. Columbus, and then we decided to go for it and open up our first brick and mortar location in Gahanna.
So you started with a food trailer and then you opened in Gahanna as your first location. You have more locations, right?
Correct. So after we started in Gahanna, and then we were like talking like, okay, do we add another one? Uh, and we received an opportunity to go into the hatch space in Bud Dairy. So Bud Dairy Food Hall, which is owned by Cameron Mitchell, they have a hatch space where they rotate food vendors every 3 months. So we had a taste test. We went in, and then at that time, we were the highest grossing hatch vendor that they had. So we were approached, about if a more permanent location became available, would we be interested in going into Bud Dairy on a like full-time basis? And we said yes. So an opportunity presented itself. So we opened March of 2024 inside of Bud Dairy Food Hall. And the beauty about going into the hatch space gave us a chance to see what it would be like to have two locations going at the same time. So that was definitely like a good learning. And then we also received an opportunity to go inside of the North Market downtown. In 2024, we went into Bud Dairy, we went into North Market downtown, and then we also had a seasonal cart inside of OSU football stadium.
I mean, I'm just thinking about the Bud Dairy opportunity. How nice is
Hmm.
it for you to have like a 3 month trial run before fully committing, right? Because that's essentially what it was.
Agreed.
You got 3 months
Correct.
to test it out. And you
Correct.
also got to know the market, right? Because I'm
Correct.
imagining Bud Dairy is different than Gahanna, just, sheer population
Correct.
differences.
Because Gahanna, we get more families. And then, we get not only Gahanna residents, we get New Albany, we get people from Pickerington, Canal Winchester, Reynoldsburg. So we even get Pataskala. So you're getting a different, like, part of Columbus, which is nice. And then, but Dairy is a food hall. So it's like cafeteria style setting. It's a total of 10 chef partners. It's 3 floors. So you're getting people who are looking to hang out on a Friday, Saturday. We're in the Italian village. So, we're able to tap into that area, which is nice.
Yeah. Yeah. How did you find going from the trailer where you started to then brick and mortar in Gahanna? Was that a hard shift or was it pretty easy?
I would say it I wouldn't say it was easy, but I wouldn't say it was hard. I would say like in between because when you're in the trailer, it's more mobile. But then you got to pay for a place to store your product. And then, you're just like out and about. And the beauty of, being out and about is that you're able to introduce your product to a broader range of people, like festivals, or
Yeah.
even like when you're able to do a private event. A brick and mortar is more permanent. And I also think it requires you need a lot more staff,
Mm.
definitely a lot more marketing because you got to get the people to come to you versus like when you're out in a festival, there's a number of food trucks, but people are
You show
coming to a
up
festival. Correct. They're
where the
hanging
people
out.
are. Yeah.
Yes. Versus you got to get the people to come to you. So, you definitely, have to have some form of a marketing budget. And that is one of the challenges that a lot of small minority owned businesses face because you don't necessarily have that budget for marketing because, you're trying to cover rent, utilities, you have to pay your staff, and marketing becomes not an afterthought, but it's not at the forefront. So you have to carve out some form of monies to be able to do sponsor an ad or, boost a post. So it's definitely important.
Yeah, let's talk about that a little bit. When you made
Hmm.
the shift from taking your product to where other people were to having to bring the people to you, what
Hmm.
marketing did you find successful? And did you do that? Did your husband? Did you hire someone?
So starting out initially, it was me. So it was really just using Facebook and Instagram and passing out flyers, and then tapping into the Gahanna community. And then we met with a Gahanna restaurant owner. He came in and sat down, was giving us some tips. And then he gave us his social media specialist at the time. So we met with her, sat down, and she's the reason why we got on the news. So, because she was, plugged into like NBC4, she was plugged into Good Day. So that really helped as well.
Yeah, did you know the other business owner? I mean, that's an incredible like resource they shared it with you.
Correct. And we previously know. So he stopped in, he patronized us, and he just said, from talking to you guys and seeing what you're offering, I want to, help you any way I can, which was very nice. Because some people are not, willing to take time out, of their day to just, sit down and just have the conversation or even point out, like when I started, this is what I did, this is what I went wrong, and I had to, I made mistakes, some mistakes were costly. So, he just said, if there's, anything that I can pass along so you don't make some of the mistakes that I made, he said, I'm more than willing to help. So that was a blessing.
That is an amazing power of community. Um,
Correct. Correct.
have you had any other, I don't know, I'm going to call it community activations where someone else, whether from the restaurant community, minority community, the Gahanna community, was like, hey, let me help you because I see what you're doing and you're doing good work?
So I would definitely say the Gahanna community has been super supportive and they continue to be supportive. We still have people that still patronize us that first had us when we first opened, like they're still coming. So we have a good amount of regulars. They, give us words of encouragement and they support the business. We also think that it's important to make sure that, we're reaching other communities too, because there's only so much a local community can do.
Sure. You only eat cheesesteaks.
Right. And and it's beautiful to hear, when we have people that come from like Westerville or Pickerington, and they're like, can you please open up one closer to me? And they're like, I don't mind coming here, but it would be so much easier, if you were like closer, to my home. And it's important because, we're bringing people who don't live in Gahanna to Gahanna. And with us being in Creekside, when the weather is nice, like we tell people like, go take a walk down at Creekside because there's a number of trails that you can take. There's other, local businesses. So it's like, inviting people from other communities, into the community that you're in, which is good. And I would say the Minority Business Connect program that Council Member Nick Bakeston had put together with Experience Columbus and a Columbus Chamber
Yeah.
was a good opportunity for us as well. So, when we went into Bud Dairy and we went to North Market, we're a part of the Columbus business community. So, having access to those two organizations was great too, because the cost of a membership is expensive. But what I tell people, even when you get those memberships, you still have to work it. Like you can't just
Oh,
join something and then expect the business is just going to come. No, you have to go to the networking events. You have to meet people. You have to put yourself out there because it's a win-win. But
yeah.
that was really good too, because we got to go to the Tourism X. That the Columbus Museum of Art. So we were a vendor the first year, and then the second year we were in the audience. So it was good to be able to hear the panel talk about Columbus and the tourism opportunity that's coming into Columbus.
How did you learn about that? Because I often think that's sometimes the hardest thing is like, as a small business owner, you could do a million things, but you're never really
Mm-hmm.
sure what's the right thing. And How do you find the ones that are useful for you?
So I found out about Minority Business Connect because we were at an event and we met Councilman Nick Bankston. So he was telling us about the program, and he said, who told me who I had to get in contact with, which was Abby with Experience Columbus, and then Mallory with the Columbus Chamber. And I just sent the email, and then they sent me the form. I filled it out. I went to a new members meeting just so that I could hear from other members who were part of the chamber and Experience Columbus. And I said, oh, we'll give it a shot. And then I just stayed in contact, like, if there's any events that we could be a vendor, just let me know. So we did receive those opportunities. So when you're at those events and you're meeting people, you have to have your business cards. You have to market yourself. You have to play up. I do catering. All the information's on the website. You have to get their business cards, too. So, and you have to send out the emails. You have to follow it. Like, you have to work it.
Yeah, it's so true, right? I've been a member of different chambers and the president of a chamber, and people are like, well, I didn't get anything. And I'm like, well, you never showed up. So, like, if you don't show up, it's really hard to get a benefit.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. I want to start to also go back to your origin story. How did Marlow's come to be? It's a successful business, but what made you start it?
So what some people don't know, like if you haven't read our bio or if you haven't seen the interview, my husband and I are both natives of Philadelphia. So we came to Columbus December of 2017 because I was a plus size retail buyer. I worked for Catherine's. So it was plus size women's apparel. And Catherine's was bought by Ascena Retail Group. They had to make some structural changes. So they closed our PA office and relocated the office to Columbus. So we were under like Lane Bryant's leadership team. Mm-hmm. So my husband convinced me to relocate. So then COVID, and my husband has a construction background, so he transferred his book and he pretty much kind of had to like start over, and he was like, this isn't for me. So he was selling water ice, which is a frozen dessert that was in Philly. It's often compared to Italian ice, but water ice is a little bit more creamier, so it's like a texture sorbet. So he was selling a water ice. I helped out, at some festivals. So that was in like 2018. So fast forward to COVID, I ended up losing my job. So they closed our division. And then so he was doing water ice, which, is known in Philadelphia. So I was, at events, and I'm like, there's a big appreciation for food out here in Columbus. And I said, we should keep the Philly theme going and let's do cheesesteaks. Yeah. So we went and got a 7x14 trailer, super small. Griddle was small, and we just took it out. And then we're like, you know what? Let's get a space. And that's what we did. So we went through the Lift Local, which is a SBA loan. We got that through Huntington. We had a real estate agent who came across the space in Gahanna. So when we came to look at it, we're like, oh, it's a bar. We weren't planning on getting in the bar business at all. It was just to sell cheesesteaks and fries and water ice. Then we were like, oh, this is good. We like Gahanna. Gahanna has a huge appreciation for small business, supporting local businesses. It's a diverse demographic, and it's centrally located. So you're like 5 minutes from the airport. You're right down the street from 670 and 270. You can access people in Blacklick, New Albany, Reynoldsburg, Pickerington, Canal Winchester. So we're like, oh, let's go for it. And we're still here.
Yeah, no, I mean, you've hit the 5-year mark, right? That's always like if we look at small business.
Oh, yeah, four. Yeah, it'll be 4.
Okay.
Yeah, the end of April. Yeah, okay. Next month.
Yeah, that's huge, right? It's something like the first year, the 5th year, and the 10th year. Those are like the landmarks in businesses. So you pass the first, and I think you'll get to the second without an issue.
Yeah, like we better. Because right now it is a lot, having a business in general. It's a lot right now, just with the state of the economy, so you have to stay abreast of like what's happening, how you're being impacted. The tariffs definitely impacted us. We had to raise our price because the price of beef, like we had like 3 different price changes. with beef. Now we got to think about what's happening with the price of oil. So like gas has gone up, and you know, is this going to affect transportation? Are we going to see another cost increase on the food side? All while, you know, maintaining labor. Like we have to pay a competitive
Right.
wage.
Wage.
You know, so some months, you know, it's not very much left. So, you know, you got to pivot, you know, you just got to get creative. You got to stay, you know, top of mind, you know, find, you know, new and creative ways to draw people in. So, yeah. And keep the, you know, repeat business too. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
What is your favorite part about running your business?
My favorite part for me is seeing customers coming in and enjoying their cheesesteak, enjoying their experience. Because it's not, you know, it's not just about the food, the service is important too. So, you know, just having people come in, just saying, oh my gosh, this was like fantastic. I'm so excited. I've been wanting to try it. I'm happy that I finally came. And then like they're just happy. You know, we delivered them a good product, we gave them good service, and they left having a good experience.
Do you find that, I don't want to say challenging, but do you find it is a different experience at like Bud Dairy since it's like a larger space versus your own space? And how do you make sure that in all your locations, folks still have that good experience?
So that is something that, and I'm not saying that we get it right all the time. I would say more than not, but it comes with training, and you know that's why we tell anybody who is at the register, you have to greet people when they're coming in. So whether they are coming to get a cheesesteak or not, as soon as they walk in, just say, "Hey, welcome in." When you see people looking at a menu, let me know if you have any questions. So it's just reiterating that to the staff and just making sure that it's happening.
Yeah, just making sure that
And
people
then
know you care.
correct. And we send in secret shoppers sometimes too.
Okay, keep the staff on
Because
their
we're not
toes. Yeah,
correct. We're not always there, and you know, and we do communicate it to the staff. Like you never know who's coming in. So whether we've sent someone undercover or it's you know somebody popping in. Like I was at Gahanna one day. This was early on, and one of our bartenders, she was working, and she's like, "Do you know what that is?" And I was like, "No." And it was former Mayor Coleman came into the
yeah,
restaurant, and I'm like, I had no idea. You know, because I'm not from here, so I
yeah,
didn't know, and I'm social, so I went and introduced myself. But
yeah,
whether he was the mayor or not, you still want to make sure that everybody is receiving the same level of service and treatment. So
yeah.
yeah,
I love that. I love that. I like to tell my team, handle the receptionist the same way as the person you're trying to speak with, because that
correct.
receptionist deserves the same level of respect.
Correct. Correct. And then we and like from a staff standpoint, you know, we also tell our staff like it doesn't matter if you're on the register, if you are cooking, if you're preparing the sandwich, if you are dropping the fries, everybody plays an integral part in the process. If you don't give someone good service at the register, then they're not ordering. So then that means the cook, the person who's wrapping the sandwiches, they don't get an order to prepare. And vice versa. If the food is not prepared correctly or is messed up, then they're not going to come back. So, like, everybody has to work together. Like, teamwork is definitely important. It's not a one person show. Like, everyone has to communicate and work together.
Do you ever feel like it's so I think of this like my grandma used to make some dishes and they just tasted better. We could use the same
Mm
recipe and they
hmm.
weren't the same. But it sounds like it's kind of like it's made with love, so it's going to taste better because all the people involved in it are focused and like want to give a good experience. It's made with their care.
Agree. And you have to, you know, to your point, like we have a recipe, you have to follow a recipe, but you have to take your time. And you have to think about, you know, when you go out to eat, how do you want your food to be prepared? Like, what is your expectation? So, the same expectation that you're putting on another establishment is the same expectation that you're supposed to have when you're preparing it for someone else. So,
Yeah.
that's what I always say.
No, I mean,
Yeah.
that makes sense. It's a good philosophy, right? To say treat people how
Yes.
you want to be treated is really what you're
Correct.
saying. Yeah. Uh,
Correct.
well, this has been fun. I have one last question for you because we're hitting our time.
Okay. Yep.
What is one piece of advice you have for someone who's thinking about starting a business, whether it's food
Okay.
service or otherwise?
Okay. My advice would be to make sure you do your research, understand your product, the product that you want to offer, know your demographic, location, 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 and seek help from local resources, whether it's ECDI, the Columbus Urban League, even the chamber. So I'm not even going to just say be specific to the Columbus Chamber. It could be Worthington, it could be Westonville, like whatever area you're looking to open your business, utilize the resources that are available and ask plenty of questions and don't be afraid to ask questions.
I have one more question because this is
Okay.
I mean, my thing is always like ask a question, you never know the answer and you never know who's willing to
Correct.
help. Have you found that?
Correct.
Like, if you put it out there, there's oftentimes someone who's like excited to help you, even though there's not like a comp structure. They're just like, yes, I want to help you be a good business owner.
Yeah, I have to give a shout out to J. Avery Frost. She is the executive director for Freedom Equity. She is a huge, I'm like a huge supporter of minority-owned businesses,
She used
and
to
she has,
the
and she used to
president
be
of
with the
COAC.
Yes, she still is. So
Okay,
she's still
okay.
the president of COAC, and she's the executive director for Freedom Equity. So Freedom Equity was the purpose of Freedom Equity was to help put funding into the hands of Black-owned business owners. And she is a wealth of knowledge. Has a lot of connections, and she's genuine. And if you come correct, she's going to help you. If you don't come correct, don't even approach her. That's just Avery. But she, I told her, a goal of ours was to get into the stadium. She connected me with Letha Pugh, connected us with Letha Pugh. And Letha is amazing too. She's a wealth of knowledge. But again, you have to come correct, and you have to have your stuff in order. And and be respectful of her time, because she's a busy person, very active in the community.
Yes,
But she helped us out, tremendously. And even some of the council members, it was just, I said, this is what I'm trying to do. This is what, this is who we are. Can you help? And a closed mouth don't get fed.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't, like you
true.
can't, all you can do is ask. You have to, do some research, about some people, and you have to approach people the right way. And if they feel like you're genuine and they see that you're putting in the work and you're doing something positive, then they'll help. But yeah, you can't be afraid to ask.
I love it. All right. I'm going to end because otherwise we'll just keep going for hours. Okay. Thank you so much, Shanika. I really enjoyed it.
I appreciate it. I did.